The Federal Reserve, America's central bank, is charged by Congress with promoting maximum employment and price stability. Achieving those aims requires an essential quality: independence.
Independence does not mean lack of accountability. Members of the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors are nominated by the President and confirmed by the Senate.
And Fed leaders testify regularly before Congress about their strategy and progress toward their mandated goals.
In practice, what Fed independence means is that the central bank is free to set interest rates in pursuit of its mandate without regard to short-term political pressures from the White House or Congress.
Why is this so important? Because politicians, driven by elections, often prioritize the short term over the long term.
They may be tempted to push the Fed to lower interest rates to boost the economy now, even though that could lead to unwelcome inflationary pressure.
History proves central banks must take the long view. Independence lets policymakers use fact-based analysis and their best judgment.
Countries with more independent central banks have better economic outcomes and lower inflation.
When independence is compromised, damage can be serious and lasting. The lessons of history are stark, especially when central banks are forced to help finance budget deficits by keeping interest rates too low.
The result has almost always been high and sustained inflation.
In the U.S., the Fed was pressured by the Treasury to cap interest rates to finance war debt following World War II. That led to a burst of double-digit inflation.
It took the Treasury-Fed Accord of 1951 to formally grant the Fed the independence needed to fight inflation.
Another painful lesson came in the 1970s when President Nixon pressured Fed Chair Arthur Burns to keep rates low ahead of the 1972 election.
The result was stagflation, high inflation combined with weak growth.
Once the Fed loses credibility, it is incredibly costly to regain, as demonstrated by the painful recessions of the early 1980s that followed the inflation surge of the 1970s. Investors worldwide trust that the Fed will make the tough, data-driven calls, even if politically unpopular.
This trust underpins the dollar's role as the global reserve currency, which ultimately lowers U.S. borrowing costs for American families and businesses.
The job of the independent Fed is to guard our economic stability. To do that, it must sometimes make unpopular decisions today to shield us from pain tomorrow.
Preserving the Fed's independence from short-term politics is not about protecting bureaucrats. It's about protecting America's prosperity.